Members, before we proceed, I'd like to give the opportunity for the area council member to say a few remarks. So, Councilmember Martin, please proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Just briefly, I just wanted to thank everybody for attending tonight. The members for coming out to the district. I'm sure you had a nice drive. It got dark pretty quick tonight. I also wanted to thank the representatives from the Department of Planning and Permitting. As has been the customary practice, I think, on the council since I've been on this particular body, on issues affecting a particular community, we've always made a concerted effort to come out and bring the hearing out into the district as opposed to having the community come to Honolulu. I think it's more convenient for the community to come forward and testify at a forum such as this than to drive all the way into Honolulu. But of course, I would invite you all to come to Honolulu. Honolulu City Lights kicking off on Saturday, December 2nd. Thereafter, it's a very festive atmosphere at the Hale itself, as well as Kapolei Hale if you have a chance. But just briefly, we look forward to receiving all testimony. I wanted to assure you that the members value and respect all testimonies given. We would ask that you direct your testimony to the members and not to anyone in the audience in particular, because it's actually the members that sit here before you that ultimately will make the decision on this particular matter. Okay, but thank you for coming. Thank you, Chair. I look forward to a nice and orderly meeting.
Thank you very much. Council Chairman Laie, would like to say a few words before we start?
Yeah, I also wanted to thank the community for coming to this evening's council meeting. It really is important for the council to receive public input on important issues. So again, mahalo to you, and we look forward to a productive committee meeting this evening.
Thank you very much. And PPP staff, thank you folks very much for coming and being here with us this evening. You folks are seated behind the screen, so I couldn't see you all. My apologies. I would like to let everyone know this evening that, as I do with all special committee meetings that I preside over, I did leave the opportunity open for the members of this committee to take a vote if the members feel comfortable enough to do so after hearing from the community and if we feel that we have necessary information to make a decision. I didn't want to prohibit us from making a decision if we were comfortable in doing so. That said, I have made no commitment this evening to take a vote or not to take a vote. I have made no commitment this evening, one way or the other, in regards to the presentation we're going to hear either. The only commitment that I've made as the chair of this committee is to bring the committee out here and to give Hawaii Reserves the opportunity to make a presentation to the community, and then to allow the community an opportunity to give testimony to the council. So I look forward to hearing from all of you folks this evening who wish to testify. And again, I like Chair Martin, also look forward to a very orderly and respectful meeting. So members, the only item on our agenda this evening is Bill 1, Revised Hau'ula Sustainable Communities Plan. The bill repeals the existing Sustainable Communities Plan for Hau'ula and adopts a new Article 7 incorporating the revised Hau'ula Sustainable Communities Plan. Members, you have in your binders Council Communication 380 from Council Chair Emeritus Martin, proposing additional amendments to Bill 1. Members, you should also have a hand-carried communication, Council Communication 382, that proposes amendments related to the community growth boundary. Chair Emeritus, do you want to explain what you're proposing at this point, or would you rather go forward with the testimony?
Why don't we just go forward with the testimony, then I can explain my testimony.
No, we cannot.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me, Speaker. It's hard for us to make any decision if Ernie Martin doesn't.
We will share that after the department and after
Kalamai, thank you.
Presenter make their remarks. Director, the Department of Planning and Permitting, you kindly come up and share your opening remarks with the committee and with the community.
Council members and the community. Thank you for this opportunity. At this time, we have no specific presentation or recommendation. We look forward to the proposals that we're going to be sharing with the community today.
Thank you for being here and for you and your staff being available if the council had any questions in regards to any of the testimony. At this time, I'd like to call up a representative from Hawaii Reserves Incorporated.
Aloha, Chairman Anderson and committee members. Thank you for the opportunity to testify tonight on Bill 1 and to make the presentation regarding the Hau'ula Sustainable Communities Plan. At the outset, I'd like to say that Hawaii Reserves is opposed to Bill 1 in its current form because it does not include a housing designation in our community, particularly in Laie, which is still our community's greatest need. At this committee's last meeting on Bill 1, we were asked and agreed to meet with those who have opposed Envision Laie proposals to see if a compromise could be reached that would allow for a housing designation within the boundaries of the Laie Ahupua'a. We, in fact, did meet with their representatives, Dee Letts, Tim Vanderveer, and Ben Schaefer. And with them, we toured a proposed housing site along the northern boundary of Laie, adjacent to and not in Mala'i Kahana Ahupua'a. We also had subsequent individual discussions just on the phone with each of them, and we feel that all of our discussions with them were productive. We also toured the site with Chairman Kukaika Anderson and his staff, had meetings with them to discuss possible scenarios for housing in Laie, including the possible number of units ranging everywhere or between 875 down to 300 units. And as you're aware, the higher the total number of units in a housing project, that generally means the higher the number of affordable housing units are required to be built. Therefore, while we favor shifting the existing Sustainable Communities Plan 550 housing units from behind BYU so that there could be more affordable housing units, we are, however, cognizant of the discussions that we've had, those meetings that we've had with those who have opposed our proposals in the past. And tonight we are proposing as a compromise that 300 housing units be designated for Laie, with 250 units in the north Laie boundary area. And as soon as we can get the projector working here, we can get a map up so that you folks can see that. So again, as a compromise, we're proposing 300 units for Laie, with 250 units being in the North Laie area, and 50 units being set aside at BYU, Hawaii. And right when we need the technology to work, I'll go on and conclude some of my remarks here regarding this proposal. The proposed Laie North site is located adjacent to and east of the existing light industrial designation that is currently on Bill 1. It's also MAPA of the City and County of Honolulu's facilities maintenance yard. So let me just point out the pointer here. This is the boundary here between Laie and Mala'i Kahana. And the purple designation is the existing light industrial designation. And the yellow designation right next to it is what is part of the proposal this evening that we're making for 250 units.
Weaver, just for the council's understanding, could you please point to the area in your map depicting the UI Village campus?
Okay, it's one in the blue right here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And one more thing, could you also show us the boundary marker for between Hau'ula and Laie?
Yes. So it's this brown dotted line right here that runs down next to that yellow designation, right there.
So you're saying all of the housing that you're proposing is within the
Laie.
Laie community, nothing in Hau'ula, is that correct?
Correct. As we had discussed in our last committee meeting. So as I was just mentioning, the proposed site is just east of that purple designation that was already in Bill 1, light industrial designation, and just south of where the city maintenance yard is. The site is set off Community Highway, so are set back about 330 yards, leaving the flat pasture land along the highway undeveloped. And so you'll see just that green space right above the housing designation. It's on land that's flat or gently sloped, and part of it is tucked behind some ridges to help preserve viewplanes, as was a concern raised in the various discussions and meetings that I've had. The retail designation that was in the original plan has been removed. And at this smaller number of units, the workforce leasehold housing model that was, again, part of the original plan is not feasible. And so that would not apply in this amendment. So affordable housing, the number of units that would be affordable, and so forth, would need to be determined by the laws and regulations and government-sponsored programs that are available at some future time if future entitlements are obtained. Higher density product and rental housing, as I think you're aware, has those both have become increasingly needed solutions, if you will, or solutions to the affordable housing crisis. And both higher density and rental housing will need to be significant components for this area as well. In our last meeting, we discussed the need for higher density, and we certainly are amenable to that. We request that Bill 1 be amended to include these proposed changes and hope that this will provide a workable compromise and solution that would help to address our community's top priority, that of housing. Thank you very much. I'll take questions either now or later.
Members, are there any questions for what you reserved at this point? Councilmember Martin.
Just briefly, so the 300 units that would be possible under this scenario, what is the ratio market to affordable?
If it was built today, the existing laws would apply. I understand that that means that 30% of the units, of the total units, would need to be affordable or meet the affordability.
So 90 units
Correct.
potentially, given current conditions.
Correct.
And the rest would be market, the 210 would be market.
Yes, although, you know, the goal has always been to try and maximize the number of affordable units, or units that would be affordable for people working and living in this area. So whatever I think is possible is, you know, is what we're going, what we would work to do.
Okay, thank you.
And these units, the affordable units would be marketed to those earning 140% below area median income.
Correct. I think the HUD requirements are 80 to 140%, and there's different ways to spread those units in that range.
But that's your understanding.
But that's, yeah, that's my understanding.
Councilmember Farmer.
Thank you, Chair. Currently in your proposal, does HRI currently own that proposed area?
Yes.
You're looking at the 250 units.
Yes. Yes.
And currently, with the BYUH,
It's a technicality, but I'll say that the land is actually titled in a parent company, for which we manage.
okay. And currently, are there already existing zonings that would allow for any further housing development currently now at the BYUH campus?
No. There's no current zoning at BYU that allows more than what they have right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're telling the committee that in order to proceed, even the 50 units that you're looking to, or that you're proposing to build in the BYUH campus, you need a reason for that.
Depending on where it was located on campus. There's a plan review use boundary that governs what can be built within that boundary. And so some of what you see there in that blue bubble is not within the PRU or the plan review use boundary. Some of it's outside of it. It would require an amendment to their plan review use plan.
Members, any further questions for HRI at this point? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilmember Martin, if you want to explain the council communication that you want.
Yeah, thank you. Just briefly, it's the first opportunity to have a direct presentation before HRI. I haven't had the opportunity to be briefed directly by HRI. But they have briefed my staff, and they have those, this particular conceptual plan was shared with me. And in light of that, when hearing them directly here today, my amendment proposes that that portion for Mauna Kahana be declared a preservation. Given that HRI has conceded to not develop on Mauna Kahana, I think it's only fitting that we go forward and declare that preservation, not necessarily directed at HRI, but I think for a longer period of time beyond just their initial plans, that gives, I think, greater protection, that particular portion or Hau'ula will be protected from development in the far future, as well as near and far future. So that's my amendment, primarily to declare that portion preservation.
Members, any additional comments before we move to public testimony? I'd like to start testimony this evening with Senator Revere and Representative Quinn. Both of you gentlemen would like to come up and share your remarks with the community and the committee. If you could try to keep it to the next Senator, we appreciate it.
Thank you. My name is Gil Rivera, Senator for this area, and I appreciate the opportunity to present to you guys to share my thoughts on this, and to the audience who turned out tonight and who has been very passionate all these years that we've debated this. I support the Bill 1 as currently presented. I think it's important that we preserve the open space, the agricultural lands. There's pastoral opportunities there, there's agricultural opportunities there, and this would retain the rural nature of the region, which I think is a beautiful asset to everybody on this island and everybody that visits this island. So it's part of the general plan. We develop in the urban area and we retain the rural areas for agriculture and for open space, recreational opportunities to visit and stuff. So it makes sense to retain it. Thank you for what looks like it's going in that direction, and mahalo.
Thank you very much. Hello, Representative. Thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you. Bear with me for a sec, because I'm still kind of trying to catch up to events. I didn't know there was going to be an HRI presentation, and I'm still trying to digest Councilmember Martin's amendment. But I would like to offer a few thoughts. Number one, HRI is right about one thing, that EA desperately needs housing. Okay, a lot of my friends grew up in that community, and their houses are pretty crowded these days. So I don't disagree with that assessment at all. Quite the contrary. What I disagree with is this constant push to put those houses anywhere but within Laie and within the urban growth boundary. And I say this not as someone who's necessarily trying to be anti-development from a blanket standpoint, but somebody who does want more housing in Laie. And my fear is that if HRI continues to push plans like this, we will never get the housing that we need in Laie. And for that reason, I fully support Bill 1 in its current form. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrea Annex. We'll bring you a microphone. Following Andrea Annex will be Angela Huntmeyer, followed by Michael Kirk Kawhi.
Is it on?
It is.
Thank you very much for coming out. And my statement is more people, no viable road, more problems. We're really strapped for this road situation. Chip Fletcher of SOS, who you'll often use as a person who is an expert, has said it's not viable. It's this road, the only road that strings all our communities together. All of our communities, except for Laie, are against this development. And the problem with this development is I haven't heard about where the other 250 houses as we're going. It's 300 you're talking here, right? Or so, anyway, it's not visually, I mean, it is visually part of Hawaii Kahana, and the value of this North Shore brand that we have managed to come up with is that it's visually a beautiful area. Nobody takes tour buses to Mililani, I'm afraid, and this is something that would hurt our economy. Can I let it?
Yes, please start to conclude.
Okay. And the main thing I worry about is we already have 4,350 plus urban zone infill lots in just between Cabela Bay and Hau'ula. That's another 22,000 people. We only have 16,700 now. You're adding 22,000 more just out of infill property that's available, on top of which there are this amount here, the student body they want to double at BYU, the housing at 4,400 more population, daytime population at Turtle Bay Resort that's going in. That's just such a huge explosion of population in this little area on a completely unviable road. It's not a solution. There's no solution for that road yet. There's none in place. Thank you.
Thank you. And just so you're aware, if I heard Mr. Beaver correctly, the proposal is for 250 homes here and 50 on the BYUH campus. That's what I heard Mr. Beaver say. 300 total. They were looking at, if I heard him correctly, the HRI was looking at a revised proposal between 300 up to 550. And they've come forward tonight with 300. So that's 250 here and 50 here is what I heard Mr. Beaver say. Matt, please proceed.
Hi, my name is Angela Hunter. I'm a public school teacher in Overturned. I fully second the senator and representative of their remarks, and Andrea also. And living out here with that very tenuous road that we have that runs from Hau'ula all the way down to Honolulu, and with rising sea level and erosion and all the rest of it, we really are put in a situation where it's difficult to get in and out of the North Shore at certain times. And should there be some kind of emergency, such as a tsunami or a hurricane, it's going to be really bad. But apart from that, even a scaled back proposal, I think is too much. I think that Laie and HLI should stay with, develop within their footprint that they already have. There's been a lot of diversion of wetlands and rivers and everything like that, which you can see even with Laie. Any more development is just going to jeopardize the ecosystem that we have here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Michael Kirk, followed by Margaret Hermatio, followed by Pani Meatonga Jr.
Aloha, Chair Anderson and council members. Thank you for being here tonight. My written testimony pertains to traffic, and I just want to agree with Andrea and the previous speakers that the highway, I've been living in Hau'ula about 30 years, and on the highway, and it's really becoming like a narrow wall of constant cars and traffic. It's very hard for people, residents, visitors to cross and enjoy the ocean. Communities are kind of split from Malcolm and Kai. So there's really these issues that are going on out there with the highway. And it's really different out here, as pointed out, there's a single road access highway from Honolulu all the way to Haleiwa. And that when you have traffic accidents, I think other speakers have pointed out, there's sometimes miles long backup. I think a lot of people know about that. And natural disasters are going to be probably hundreds stuck on the highway as we were the last tsunami evacuation. And this is not just our observations. I noticed the Oahu Regional Transportation 2040 Plan, which was approved last year, maps out the congestion creek spreading out from Kahulu all the way to Laie. It's slowly coming up there. And this plan also notes that single roadway, geographically isolated communities, such as those in Hau'ula, are at risk during emergencies. So thank you to the city officials.
Mahalo. Pani Meatonga Jr., or excuse me, Margaret Hermatio, followed by Pani Meatonga Jr., followed by Robert Kealoha Domino.
Good evening, Chair and members. I'm Margaret Hermatio, President of Defend Oahu Coalition, and I stand by the testimony as submitted earlier, but I'd like to add a few statistics. And in case you're wondering what I'm in support of, I'm in support of Bill 1 in its current form. But I just happen to, one of the organizations that I like to support and donate to is Hawaii Appleseed Center for Law and Economic Justice. And in their 2016 poll, what they found was 48% of us are living paycheck to paycheck, and 25% of us have worried about being able to pay our mortgage or rent. 21% of us worry about having to come up with our utility bills. And 1 in 5 residents suffer a medical crisis that they don't know how they're going to pay those bills. 17% of the families polled indicated they worried about being able to put basic things like food on their tables. And 95% of us worry about the high cost of housing here. And almost 9 out of 10, 89% of us believe low-paying wages are a serious concern for our community. And the most telling of how we need affordable housing, not any market homes, and only 50 possibly affordable homes is ridiculous for our Hau'ula area. 52% of the high school students in our public high schools are on free and reduced meals. So that tells you what the families can afford. So even that sampling, duplicated in our community, duplicated in Laie, we will not be meeting any kinds of needs of housing that we need in Hau'ula. So, yeah, and thank you for coming out to hear us in our community.
Mahalo. Members, if you have any questions that they would testify, kindly let me know as I move forward. Pani Meatonga Jr. Prior to Mr. Meatonga making his remarks, I'd just like to let everyone know that restrooms are located outside this building to your left. Mr. Meatonga, please proceed.
Hello, Chair Anderson and committee members. My name is Pani Meatonga Jr. I am here tonight representing Operating Engineers Local Union Number 3, as well as the Laie Community Association. The Operating Engineers Union has supported all of development within Laie and its boundaries due to the fact that it provides jobs for our members. We've had members that have built a hotel. They're on campus building the dorms and future construction efforts. The purpose of that is to keep our people working here. Do not have a foreman that lives in Hau'ula. Dale Staggs, Dale, can you raise your hand? He's been at BYU working with his crew for his company for the last 5 years. And that's what we want to bring our members home in their community to work. Any development on this side of the island provides work. They're currently going to be building the fire station that we supported. As far as the community association, Mr. Beaver has met in negotiations and has kept us apprised of what the outcome has done. We support any type of development, especially within the boundaries of Laie. But the 300 we feel is not enough to make it affordable for the working men and women in our community. 80 to 120 AMI, very few of our members in the community working at the entities will be able to afford to buy those homes. Currently, we have developers in Hau'ula building homes along the highway, selling for $800,000. There's nobody in this community jumping to buy a house on there. Those houses are all going to go to outside banks. And so we ask that you consider increasing the allotted amount within the boundaries of Laie, so that we keep it in Laie and we can make the numbers work to designate the housing for those that work and live in our community.
Mahalo. Followed by Gwen Kim, followed by Dr. Kalama.
Robert Keloha, Domingo, Keia no Ka'awa Mael. First off, warmest aloha to Council Chair Anderson, members of the committee, Nakupuna, all of the people in this room. We love you all. Aloha to all of you. We're speaking tonight on behalf of the Kawa Community Association, which I'm the chairman of, but also as a lifelong and multi-generational resident of Ka'awa, a husband and a father of 4 sons. The Kawa Community Association is in support of Bill 1, as drafted June 14, 2017, as indicated in the resolution that has been emailed and distributed to the council on June 14th, I believe, of 2017. You guys should have that in a copy. I can resend it to you. Of course, we didn't have a chance to address the proposed amendment. That'll have to come at a future time for us. But at the current time, we're supporting Bill 1 as in its current form. I just also wanted to share a simple map indicating all the communities that are against moving the urban growth boundary. So, oops, upside down, sorry. North, south, sorry. All the green here, of course, against red for. So, for the one moment at this point in time. Okay.
Gwen Kim, followed by Dr. Kalama Mihiu, followed by Nakia Naiole. Oh.
I support this bill. Yes.
There we go.
I support this bill and against a second city. My name is Gwen Kim, lifelong Windward resident, retired as unit manager for the Queens Video Children's Center after over 40 years as a social worker. As a professional, I would like to focus on 2 points. First,
They're going to open it up again. Josh, they're going to open it up.
Contribute greatly to the mental health of all. Every weekend, families fill our couches. The smell of barbecue and children's laughter fill the air. How important is this? Not hiding in dark rooms for drugs and abuse. The second point I'd like to make, this capitalistic drive for profits emanating from Utah is destructive to our community. The brightest and best Kapai Aina, Aloha Aina are silenced by economic threats and social sanctions from the Mormon Church. How sad for money. Loss of Aloha Aina and persecuted silence are serious and detrimental mental health issues. In closing, mahalo for introducing this bill to keep the country. Thank you.
Folks, I'd like to ask, please refrain from any applause or any other comments after folks testify. I just want to make sure that everyone does feel comfortable giving their remarks. So I'd like to, again, please ask for your pupoi, not offering any response to any of the testifiers. Dr. Kala'aniu, followed by Nakia Laie, followed by Brian Walsh.
Aloha Aina. Kano kaina ki ia, kolikuna ko ola ka papamoko hina mai kupuna mai moku o nihu, mai ohana mai noho o ka'aawa. My name is Dr. Kalama Okainani. I'm a family physician, and my focus is to take care of the warriors of Hau'ula, those who protect and care for and grow the kalo, the greatest and highest yield of any crop on the planet. And I am 4 generations in Ka'awa. And I think it's really important for us to take a look at this model that we're trying to follow. We're trying to follow this model that's based upon a Utah, California, Arizona type of model in which endless consumption, endless construction, endless development. And what happened to those places this summer? What happened to these places the past few months? Who's been watching Montana, California on fire for months? Overdevelopment. Who's seen the climate change that has happened, that has wreaked havoc in Florida, Houston, Puerto Rico? If the Matson containers stop coming, we need to have farms. We need to have food, and we need the aquifer. This relentless pursuit for construction, development. We all know that they have plenty of room within the BYU footprint right now. Why push it further? Why? Because there's an endless desire to continue to expand and build profits. And our people in our community aren't going to live there. But EA is going to sell and create for their own people. That's why the rest of the coast, everybody else is against it, because we're not going to afford it. And 2, it's not going to be for us. So this has been incredibly divisive to our community. So I thank you again. Thank you for bringing this bill. Stop the construction. I am against no second city in Kolalo.
Thank you. Nakia Laie, followed by Brian Walsh, followed by Jared Sorrell. Aloha.
Kia ko ino no laie mai aku, velina mai, kia ko kako uwau ke ia palapala means I support this bill and how it stands. I stand before you, a multi-generational member of Laie, a Mormon in fact as well, practicing, and I support this full-heartedly. I have family on both sides, but I love them nonetheless. Thank you for your support, and if you guys would like to, please continue to work with us. I appreciate it. Safe drive home. Welcome to a greater country.
Brian Walsh, followed by Jared Sorrell, followed by Alan Pope.
Chair Anderson and members of the City Council Planning Committee. My name is Brian Walsh. I'm in support of Council Bill 1 in unmodified as it currently stands. I've lived in Ka'awa for 18 years, and I'm the Vice President of the Ka'awa Community Association. I am opposed to changing the existing community growth boundary or allowing the rezoning of Gunstruck Ranch or adjacent land on the Mount side of the highway in Laie. I'm opposed to this property being used for housing, as has been suggested by HRI. Our moku should remain rural for the present and future generations. We cannot allow urban sprawl to overtake the entire island and to destroy our lifestyle and a large part of what makes tourists come to Hawaii to see. In 1970, Joni Mitchell visited Honolulu and wrote a song named Big Yellow Taxi. Please don't support her lyrics, which are fairly famous. They pay a paradise and put up a parking lot. Don't be a part of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jared Sorrell. Followed by Alan Pope, followed by Laura Gray, excuse me. Jared Sorrell. Alan Pope. Followed by Laura Gray and Larry Hines.
Aloha. Hello. To all of us, we're all family here, regardless of our size on this issue. I am solely for Bill 1 as it's written. My name is Alan Poe from Ka'ava. I am part of the DOC, and in front of me I have the development plan from 1992. This is like Groundhog Day all over again. This issue has been over and over and over. And in 92, this brilliant impact statement, if you ever have a chance to read it, said the only place to build was behind BYU Hawaii in that area right there. All the other issues were said no. Salt Lake killed it. Those houses would have been built by now and people would have had houses. We aren't against houses being built. We want to stay within the growth boundary. No stretching it out into the hua'as as they're going. It has to stay inside the growth boundary. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Is there more questions for you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You mentioned that, did you mention that you would be comfortable with allowing development for additional housing on the BYU?
I personally would, yes, sir. I do believe so. It has to be affordable, though. And when I say affordable, as issued in this statement, there is all kinds of brilliance in here as how people can build affordable housing in here. It's written already. Of course, it's years old, but I'm sure it still applies.
Thank you very much. Laura Gray, followed by Larry Hines, followed by Kathleen Mattoon. Hello.
Hello. My name is Laura Gray. I'm a registered nurse. I live in Honolulu now, but I'm from Hau'ula. And I support Bill number 1 as it was originally written without any amendments. This is not about affordable housing. It's about preserving our ag land. I think if affordable housing was the goal, I think it could be achieved, but not in our ag lands and within the urban boundary. As a registered nurse, I worked at hurricane shelters after hurricanes. I know what will happen out here. This is not the place to have a large population expansion or development. We don't have a trauma center. We have inadequate police, fire, ambulance. We have no hurricane shelters that are hardened. The road will go under, and it's going under. We have sea level rise. We have global warming. These problems are only going to get worse. We have a crumbling electrical grid, which already goes off all the time. I can attest to that. We have inadequate sewer. It goes into the ocean. The runoff from stormwater is killing our reef, and that's going to create more erosion. Development historically has not benefited local populations out here at all. So, you know, this is not about affordable housing. It's about preserving our planet.
Wow. Ms. Gray, Same question I'd like to ask you that I asked Mr. Cole. Would you support the part of the proposal this evening that calls for additional
I'm
homes
here-
on the campus?
I'm here tonight to talk about not developing our ag lands and not developing in anywhere except within the urban boundary. And personally, I think this is not the place for a large population density, and that there are better places for affordable housing.
So on the campus, so you'd be comfortable with that?
You
If the
know,
boundary-
let's get our sustainable plan in place. We need our sustainable plan to be adopted
Thank you.
without amendments.
Thank you. Larry Hines, followed by Kathleen Mattoon, followed by Christopher Goody. Oh,
Council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak. Recently retired, I have a background in emergency management specific to emergency medical, so I empathize with your decision-making process in this whole public hearing. We've been through it before. Oahu is approximately 600 square miles, and when you subtract the land of the Hau'ula and the Waianae Mountain Group, I think you have less than 300 miles of developable land. Currently, we have a population of over 1 million people, probably in Honolulu alone. So I do support the bill in its original form. The visioning asked for the country lifestyle, support of ag growth, and limited development. I'm part of an emergency medical management team, and my team recently went to Puerto Rico. It's an island 5 times bigger, but 3 times the population of Oahu. There's one major road on the island, very similar to Cam Highway. The road was completely blocked off for over 2 weeks. Crews from everywhere were in there prior to the military getting there. They're still clearing the road. They still do not have access to the island. My team was buying groceries from farmers before boats could get in there to supply, from people that had agricultural lands that had not lost their crops due to that storm. And that is an island that reminds me of what I see here with the potential without the proper emergency planning that we have to engage in. So, mahalo, thank you very much.
Mahalo. Kathleen Mattoon, followed by Christopher Goody, followed by Dee Hearn.
My name is Kathleen Mattoon from the Ahua of Honolulu. I'm from an ohana that has lived in Ko'olelo for many generations. My mother was fortunate to inherit Kuleana lands from her Hanai parents, and who also lived in Ko'olelo. My family in Ko'olelo, as a result, is quite large. 4 of my children have also built their homes in Honolulu. My concern for this aina and our people is great. My community involvement includes some of the following organizations. 45-year member of the Tulu Community Association, life member and past president of the Ko'olelo Hawaiian Civic Club, current member of the Ko'olelo Neighborhood Board, and also part of the petitioning to get the Ko'olelo Neighborhood Board 28 started in 1979. Planning Advisory Committee, the Ko'olelo Sustainable Communities Plan is where I was member. And this was 2007 to 2009. The draft of the Ko'olelo Sustainable Communities Plan is a product of 2 years of hard work by representatives of Ko'olelo communities, including PAC members representing Laie. The changes being proposed do not comply with the principles of the Sustainable Communities Plan, the City General Plan, and the State's Sustainable 2050 Plan. The June 2009 draft plan complies with the vision of Ko'olelo Sustainable Community Plan, as well as the principles of the General Plan, the State Sustainability 2050 Plan, while minimizing impacts on infrastructure. The urgent need for affordable housing can still be met by placing residential development on land already approved in Laie and Kahuku
and as well as other areas in Ko'olauloa. The massive development was
Mr. Platon, I
proposed.
have to ask you to please conclude your remarks.
Yes. The massive development being proposed for Laie cannot be allowed. The proposed development of Laie should not be included in the SCP. There exists the opportunity to apply for individual land use changes at any time for anyone. Please do not allow these proposed changes in Ko'olauloa Sustainable Communities Plan. Whatever is needed can be applied for in changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Christopher Goody, followed by Dee Dee Herron, followed by Renee Ramsey.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Chris Goody from Ka'ava. I'm a ocean and coastal engineer with Engineering of Manala.
Please use the microphone. Mahalo. There you go.
I support Bill 1 and oppose future significant development such as that proposed by HRI. Ko'olauloa Sustainability Communities Plan was meant to be a sound community planning document, but is at risk of being rewritten to benefit wealthy outsiders and special interests who stand to make a large sum of money with the changes, leaving the community members to deal with the increased traffic, noise, congestion, loss of natural beauty and open space, and loss of rural character which this area is known and cherished. If these documents are allowed to be manipulated in order to allow significant development in the rural corridor of Ko'olauloa, and more specifically from Laie to Kahuku, it would truly demonstrate that money trumps the interests of the majority of people who live in this community. We all know there isn't just Envision Laie on the books. There's also the proposed large-scale expansion at Turtle Bay. Neither of these proposed developments is currently being required to consider the combined effects if both went forward. This much development would be catastrophic to the current way of life. It's clear that existing infrastructure is not capable of handling such massive change. Roads would be clogged, branches overrun, sewage overflowing, auto, pedestrian, and bicycling accidents would likely surge. Emergency evacuations for hurricanes and tsunami would be complete gridlock and a disaster waiting to happen. The predicted sea level rise of several feet at the end of the century would further exacerbate the problem. The recent multiple road closures due to shoreline erosion and subsequent roadway collapse and high tides and high surf are a case in point. Resulting traffic during closure and repair was astounding. I'll summarize. In summary, the plans and rules should not allow for any new major expansion or developments of roadways in Ko'olauloa, and instead focus on fixing and protecting our current roadways and infrastructure. It appears to me that these proposed changes in the plan documents will allow significant urban development of existing ag lands and open spaces here in Ko'olauloa are a clear case of special interest of a portion of a single community in Laie and Turtle Bay wanting to impose their vision on the rest of Ko'olauloa, while the few make enormous personal profits, leaving the rest of us pay for it in the form of lost natural resources, lost open space, lost visual beauty, increased traffic, stressed infrastructure, and quite possibly a man-made disaster.
Thank you. Okay, folks, please refrain from applause, and again, when you hear the buzzer go off, please do start to conclude your remarks. I would like to get through all of the registered testifiers as well as allow for time for those who be able to give their remarks who are unable to register. Please proceed, state your name for the record, and offer your comments.
Aloha. My name is Geldrine Noheolani Herron, and I'm known as Kupuna Bibi. I'm a retired social worker, and I'd like to thank you all for coming out this way. Since I've been retired, all I do is farm. I have 3 months of crops above ground and 3 months of crops below ground. I'm a ninth generation farmer from Honolulu. So after I finished my business career, and after I finished my social working career with CPS, I just wanted to let you folks know that in this predicament that we are in today, as your government faces our government, Hawaii pipeline, I just wanted to let you know that we do have representatives coming from The Hague to do an international court of inquiry against the illegal overthrow of our Hawaii state government, the true government that America signed treaties with and recognized as an independent nation. Hawaii still exists, our kingdom still exists, and my great-grandsons will still exist. And hopefully they become farmers like me when they retire from the construction industry. Aloha.
Oh, Lorraine Ramsey, followed by Shri Yu, followed by Laura Tebonga.
Aloha.
Oh,
My name is Renee Ramsey, and I represent the Windward Resistors. I support Bill 1 with no amendments. Compromising from 800 houses down to 300? Why compromise at all? Why compromise at all? Enough is enough. Our island has limited resources. We are at our limit. How much money do developers need to make? When does it stop? When is it enough? Don't we need ag land to produce food? Are we going to develop until whatever beauty here is ruined? And then what? I implore you to retain Bill 1 as is with no amendments.
Mahalo. Lucia Yu, followed by Laura Tebonga, followed by John Tanner.
Good evening.
Aloha.
Council members, thank you for hearing the voices of the community. It's actually Lucia.
Lucia, thank you.
That's okay. So I support Bill 1 with no amendments. We have fully borrowed from Mother Nature with diminishing returns as evidenced by the climate change that we witnessed with terrible storms, fires in the United States and internationally. My experience with development on Oahu is developers are not creating infrastructure. They're making a lot of money. And in the meantime, people who are from here, who live here, don't have a place to live, don't have adequate education, adequate health care. There's a lot of people making money, but the people who live here are suffering. So I am against unsustainable, unethical development in all its forms. And I ask that you support Bill 1 with no amendments. Thank you.
Laura Tebonga, followed by John Tanner, followed by Arapaka Meow. Aloha.
Good evening, Chair and Council members. My name is Laura Tebonga. I live in Laie, and I oppose Bill 1 because it does not include housing. If you ask anybody in our community what the #1 problem is, they'll tell you that it's housing. I work at BYU, and just in the last 6 months, I've hired 2 different employees that are driving in from Kaneohe every day. And that wouldn't really be a big deal, except they want to live here. They're from here. They graduated from Kukuku. They grew up here, and they can't afford the housing. And then even if there was housing, there isn't anything there for them. So it's kind of the same thing with my husband's family. He was raised here, graduated from Kukuku. There's 5 siblings, and my husband and his brother Patisela are the only 2 that are still here. I've seen it with friends of ours where they can't afford the high rents, so they move to the mainland. And then a few years later, they're back and they give it a try again, and it doesn't work, so back they move to the mainland. And I've always wondered, what is this back and forth? It's because they want to be here. This is where they're from. They want to be with their family. This is where they grew up, and so I'm hoping that you will reinstate the housing so that we can have more housing in our community.
Wow. John Tanner,
Aloha.
followed by Arapaka Meow, followed by Don Lawson.
I'm president of BYU Hawaii. I've been here since July 2015. And I just first of all want to say how much we love Laie, we love this area, and we're grateful to be here. We're opposed to the bill because it contains no new housing, which is a huge issue for us. We're trying to find employees. We want them to stay here. Many of them live in multi-families, they're living on top of each other, their children can't come. Just a quick experience from today, as I was interviewing someone who wants to come and work at BYU. His wife's family lives in Hau'ula. He's from Laie. And there's just no way they can come. It's just difficult. They're red raiders for life. They can't come back and raise their children. That happens all the time. Let me just also say a couple of things really quickly. We don't have plans to grow the university in a major way at all. The university serves the poor and the needy. Our goal is to have 75% of our students from the Pacific area. The only people we recruit now in the mainland are Pacific Islanders in the diaspora. The university is being subsidized. The church is not gaining anything. They're subsidizing the university at great expense in order to provide education for the poor and the needy, first generation students often who need this education. And that's what we're about at the university. I'm grateful for the chance to be here and to testify.
Mr. Tan, in regards to your enrollment, what is the current enrollment size of your campus?
The current enrollment is 2,900.
Are there plans that are being talked about?
We are capped by our board at 3,200, so we're almost at our cap.
If that cap, once that cap is met, will your board increase it?
Well, there's always a theoretical possibility, but small is beautiful. I think a small university has always been the character of Brigham Young University of Hawaii. And so that's what the only intentions and the only plans, partly because it's very expensive to be educated here, there isn't housing. So I don't foresee that happening, no.
And the reason I ask, this council has heard before in the past that there have been discussions in future years, say 25, 30 years out, plans to increase the campus size to roughly 5,000. Is there any truth to that rumor that's been going around for some years now?
There are no discussions or plans for that. The cap is 3,200, as I said.
And so you're saying then that there are no conversations even at this point to lift that cap right now?
No, there are no conversations. Could I just say one other thing about traffic?
Sure.
The more we have these poorer students, they come and we support them, as you know. They're forbidden by contract to have cars. They only are in public transportation.
Thank you for raising that point. Thank you very much. Arafaka, followed by Don Lawson, followed by Pani Niatonga III.
Aloha, council members. My name is Arafaka Mea. I've lived in Laie for 27 years. I've come to many hearings over the years about housing on the North Shore. I'm here today in support of the proposed amendments to Bill 1, Revised Hau'ula Law Sustainable Communities Plan. I support additional housing in Laie. We have a serious housing shortage, as you are well aware. The median home prices approach $800,000. This crisis and high prices are tied directly to the limited inventory as home buyers who do not live in Hau'ula Law, certainly not in Laie, invest in the limited supply of homes. My wife and I have 2 married sons who grew up here. We're educated in Hawaii and live on the mainland. They want to return home and raise their families in Hau'ula Law. The prospects for them of being able to afford a home, let alone find a home, with the need and interest of many families in the community seems difficult and elusive at best. Their plans to return are on hold because they understand the demand for housing significantly is much greater than the supply, now and in the foreseeable future. I urge this committee and the City Council to favorably consider the proposed amendments to this Community Sustainable Plan, which provides for family sustainability and balance, so that over the next 25 years, we envision and support gradual, at least I do, envision and support gradual and moderate growth that will allow many residents to live, work, and play in Laie.
Wow. Don Lawson. Thank you. If you'd like to sit down, we'll bring you a microphone. Oh. Oh.
Aloha.
Hello.
There we go.
My name is Dawn. Kahala, Makuana, Tautafa, Kiawimaki, Watson. I am a kupuna, Laie. My family's been on Oahu for 222 years. We came in 1795 and we're still here. The Mormon Church and their entities came 152 years. And they've been here ever since. We have been trying to protect our lands. And by protecting our lands, we have been robbed by the taking of our lands by the Mormon entities. I support Bill 1. I oppose that amendment. I do not support any more buildings in Laie at all. The Mormon Church needs to do right to the Kuleana landowners. The promise to our Kuleanas was this: restore the Kuleana lands, restore the boundaries that they destroyed, take care of the taxes that they agreed to pay and they haven't been paid, and bring them on. That's all kupuna man. E malama ka aina, e malama ka aina ka ako. You take care of the land, and land take care of you. That's all we have always wanted. And in the meantime, we welcome everybody else into our country. Hawaii, Kanaka Maoli. I stand before you, gentlemen, and I look at you, and you have to understand that the preservation of the Kanaka, if you do not do right, the genocide will continue with the Native people, the Native Kanaka. But we have an opportunity as heirs and sons of Malaikahana. We're going back to the lands of our ancestors. Malaikahana Farm Project is going to be living off the grid. We're going to grow our own food. We're going to teach our people Hawaiian fishing methods and Hawaiian methods of raising food, and to live by the culture and history of our people. And we welcome not only Kanaka, but all people who support what we do, to be in harmony with nature. So please, members of this City Council committee, please do not take this precious agricultural lands and put them into development. No to any development by HLI or any of the Mormon entities. And they have not come to the table with clean hands. I want to just say about Waikuku that Eric Weaver mentioned. That was what happened when they said the property behind the city and county jail. There's a lava tube that they dumped sewage in that ended up in the ocean and violated the Clean Water Act, and they were sued. So please, we don't want you to continue to do this. Mahalo.
Followed by Dean Hamer, followed by Barbara Kahana.
Aloha Chair Anderson, of the Council.
Oh,
thank you. So tonight I'm wearing actually two hats. So first off, I'll be representing the Operating Engineers Industry Stabilization Fund, and as was reiterated prior, for us, this is a work for us. We want to make sure that all of our members that are in this area are working. And so far, we've done a lot in Laie, and support the amendments to this plan so that our members can continue to work. My second hat is as a neighborhood project member, chair of the transportation committee. And just for everyone, we talked a lot about the highways. Please come to our January meeting. Ed Smith will be there to address all the highway issues. The committee members have done things, but please, we want everyone to come out. So thank you for doing that. As a member of the neighborhood board member, a brand new one at that, I just would like to say, that Class of 94 graduated for life, 80% of my class is gone. They're all new anymore. I'm looking to raise my 4-month-old daughter, which is 14 years in the making, and have her live here with all of her cousins. Obviously, it's going to be very hard without development. I fear that without development, what's going to happen to the community is what's going to happen in town. Infill. A lot of the people have talked about infill. Infill communities, monster homes. People coming together, families who have come together to pool their money so that they can build a home for them, so that they all can live under that. Obviously, there are going to be people here who are going to try to make money off of that. Mortgages are higher. We're going to have to build additional units. I'm worried that that might be a possibility, a scenario that could happen down the road. We do have monster homes in this area, and that is an issue. I'm very worried about that, and I would love to have affordable homes, obviously, for our people down here.
Mahalo. Dean Heyman, followed by Barbara Kahama, followed by Harry Watson.
Aloha.
Aloha.
I'd like to thank you, IKEA, for proposing this bill, and I think that if it goes through, I think people will long see you as a protector of this side of the coast, which is really important. I'm just going to bring up the elephant in the room that nobody's addressed, and that is, why is there now an amendment proposed for this bill? And if you read the amendment, Ernie Martin, it sounds on the surface great. It would make a preservation area out of Mount Kahana. It sounds good to me. But the problem is no one knows what type of preservation area, what that actually means, and how that compares to the current designation as agricultural land, which is clearly defined. And so I'm just going to stick this out here, and I'm sorry if it's unpopular. I think that Ernie is trying to confuse the issue so that there's not a vote. Because once the vote is taken and the bill is passed, then it's passed. And things that can be made at a higher level later on, then it will be passed. We saw the same thing 6 months ago when it was time for a vote, and Ernie Martin stirred the pot, even though he's not on the committee, and got it to be put off so that HRI could come up with a plan. So I know this is not popular, but I really hope you guys, there's enough people here to vote and just get the bill and get it done now. Thank you.
Barbara Kahama, followed by Harry Watson. And before Ms. Kahama makes her remarks, I just want folks to understand, in regards to the council communication that was carried to this meeting this evening from Council Chair Emeritus Martin, council member representing this district. In all fairness to the council chair, he and I communicate pretty frequently. He didn't even share his amendment with me. And the reason he didn't do that is because he wanted to come here, present this amendment publicly for the first time. He wanted the first time that he presented this amendment to be here publicly in front of the community. And that's why he did it this way. So I just want to let everyone here know that Chair Martin had the best of intentions in not presenting his amendment or sharing it with anyone, including with me as a chair of the committee, because he truly wanted the first unveiling to be here in this public setting, out here in this community. So I just wanted to put that out there. Please proceed.
Aloha, my name is Barbara Kahana. I'm here representing the Hau'ula Community Association. Quick history lesson, July 27th, 2007 was the first PAC meeting on this plan. That group spent 2 years. We spent a lot of time talking about what the word sustainable means. And at this point, I just want to remind the committee that our community association did submit testimony or resolution in June of this year in support of Bill 1 as it stands with no amendments. Hearing new information tonight, like a lot of other folks that are here, obviously those of us who represent our communities want to be able to go back and discuss with our communities and have dialogue and get input from those that we represent. Just a couple things from our position. Again, the Hau'ula Community Association has a strong history of supporting efforts that encourage citizen participation in the planning process. We support long-range smart planning based on science and needs that acknowledge those areas that are fragile with limited resources. You heard talk already tonight about infrastructure, our road, economics, all of that and above. So we support Bill 1 as it stands with no amendments.
Mahalo. Harry Watson, followed by Elizabeth Levi, followed by Maureen Malafi.
Hello, my name is Harry Watson. The point I wanted to make, I'm supportive of the kind. I can't remember but the part I like was, you know, the guys who are president tonight, they never tell everybody that the park that they developed is called Laie, and in that area there's cultural sites and stuff. Like the old Paio fish pond and then the chalice stone where Hau'ula would watch over the fish pond. and get a couple, I don't know, the way of hookah. And there was one lava tube that used to feed the fish pond. The city county was cited for pumping raw sewage in them. They would put one manhole cover on. And then, I don't know if these guys will tell you guys this, but that's what they did. During that time, the city county guys would dump raw sewage inside. And that's the same place they like developed. And then we lived down the road over there. And then, how come they never disclosed that? I'm a terra farmer, full time, so all this development will affect the water in the river. I cannot pump water from the river. I gotta wait, lucky you get rain right now. So that's my concern. So, any question?
Mahalo. Elizabeth Levi, followed by Maureen Malanafi, followed by Kahikino Kala Domingo.
Aloha. My name is Elizabeth Laie. I'm a Laie resident and my family has been in Laie for generations. I'm testifying in opposition of Bill 1 as it is currently drafted. Over the years, I have seen hundreds of people show up in support of affordable housing in Hau'ula. I have also seen many show up who oppose development and growth in the area. I have friends and family on both sides of the issue. I understand that this is a polarizing topic with no easy solutions. There is something special about Hau'ula. Everyone who lives or visits here can feel it. Hau'ula is beautiful. I have spent time in the mountains hiking to Laie Falls, picking vitae and mango from the trails. My dad taught me how to fish these waters, like his father before him, going back generations, and one day I will teach my son. Hau'ula and Laie specifically is part of me, and I am a part of it. When I was a kid, my yard wasn't the only one with an eating pit in the front and spears and fishnets in the garage ready to be used in the ocean. But now I can count on one hand the number of, but now I can probably count on one hand the number of families that have eating pits in their yards and who actively go out and fish these waters. One reason for this change is that the kids I grew up with are no longer here. Some because they wanted to experience life off the rock, but a lot of them because they can't afford to live in Hau'ula anymore. Affordable housing is an integral part of making sure Hau'ula remains the special place that it is. More than its beauty, it is the people that make this place special. As you make your decisions on this complicated issue, I hope you will listen to all sides and realize that yes, we should take measures to preserve the physical beauty of Hau'ula, but if we want to keep it country and preserve what makes it so special, we need to make sure that the people of Hau'ula have opportunities to stay. Thank you.
Wow. Maureen Malanafi, followed by Kahikino Kala Domingo.
Aloha. My name is Dr. Maureen Malanafi. I've lived in Kolalo area since 1979. I've been an educator for over 40 years in the area. And I want to say that, and I appreciate this forum, but I live in Hau'ula, and we also need homes. And I think it's an island-wide issue. There's a lot of homeless. There's people, you know, we've talked about the economics. Let's look at other solutions also, such as the glut of vacation rentals. Because when I look around my area, I see, I don't see local families moving in. I see tourists, and also I do see quite a few BYU students, which if they build to house the students, they'll be in the area. Not to say we don't want students in the area, but they definitely do have cars, by the way. I just want to say, it's like, I have a daughter living with grandchildren on the mainland. Okay, I have about a few other points, but I want to say, what I see in Laie is an anomaly. I'm worried about what it will look like if this development goes through. I support Bill 1 in its original form. I definitely want to know more. I think we should go with Bill 1 and then get more information about preservation, because we're kind of confused right now. And I believe that, you know, looking around at what HRI or BYU has done with the Marriott Hotel, all the building. I believe they are able to build within the confines. And we should look at that, and I support Bill 1. I want to keep the country. I don't want to look around years from now like Hau'ula and North Shore and say, what happened? What happened? Because once it's gone, it's gone. Thank you.
Domingo. This is our final registered testifier. Is there anyone else here this evening who would like to testify? Please start to line up behind Mr. Domingo, and I will call you forward individually at the conclusion of his remarks. Please proceed.
Hello, mai kako, kia raina. Nā mamo ka mālolo ki vai o ko olaulo nei, a me nā mamo hoi o ka laki o Mololani ko olau poko. Ia o ko e ka aha o ke kulana ka kauhale nei o Honolulu. Aloha mai kako. Well, ke o kai kino kala, I was born and raised in Ka'ava, in this moku nei, and I just recently graduated high school. I'm 18 years old, and I'm in the real world now, and this is a pressing problem. Before, I never used to come to these council meetings with my father. It's my first one, and he asked me to testify today, so here I am at the stand. I am here on behalf of myself and my ohana, as well as my lahui, and I see this proposed project. As mentioned before, I am in support of Bill 1 as it stands with no amendments to stop all developments in Laie, and I think that the proposed project, it only thinks about this one area and doesn't think about the effects of the whole entire island, which it will affect. And especially for me, I live right next to the highway. This will affect me directly because I live right next to the road, and this project, of course, will cause more proposed traffic, and eventually, where am I gonna live in 50? Where are my children gonna live, you know? So, mahalo for listening.
Mahalo. Next testifier, please come up, state your name for the record and your position on the measure.
Hey, aloha, my name is Rebecca Matangi Walker. I live here in Hau'ula. I more have a comment than a position on what's going on. I don't think we have the right solution for what the real problem is. I do know that there are over 1,000 illegal vacation rentals in Ho'ula. It's 1,000 only on Airbnb. So when we talk about housing shortage, it's what are our homes being used for at this time and how that affects our communities. We need more homes, but the disconnect I have a problem with is how do we guarantee that our friends, I'm a Red Raider, class of 94, we wear that brighter than we wear anything else we belong to, but how can we know that our friends who left, our Native Hawaiian families who left, that they're going to be guaranteed these homes? It's the affordable homes are 90 of the 250 homes or 300 homes would be affordable. So what about those other homes? What does that bring in? And our infrastructure cannot handle this kind of stuff. So we have to clean our house first. Yeah, we have to take care of the infrastructure and what we have existing before I think we can move forward in something that is a real sustainable development. Mahalo. I just want to add that I teach at BYU Hawaii, and that one of the main missions of BYU Hawaii is it does offer an education to the Pacific Islander students and to people who really need it. So I come on both sides. I did want to add that because I do love the mission of what we offer at that university. And that confuses us all now. You're welcome.
Please state your name for the record.
I am Byron Hull, the first vice president of the WWCA. Okay, I've lived in Waihoʻoli Valley since 1974. In case anybody knows, that's the battle call. Okay, the first day of battle. Okay, my comment is for the bill is we support the bill to be passed as it is, and we also make a comment on again Mr. Martin's amendment. I think that's great that we preserve the land for the people to be used. And that's all that needs to be done for open space. Okay, so let me just make a comment since I've been a rebel since 1974. So from day one is, they changed the name so that we are confused. okay? Envision, whatever it is, they changed the name. They still have the same plan, they want to make money, okay? Okay, we have always said that the way to combat any kind of this is to give the information to the people, the correct information. Anybody here has ever bought an affordable house? Because the house I've never seen, an affordable house has never been bought by somebody who could afford it. They have to pay some money. Okay, last comment here. Okay, for those who know what WWCA, okay, there's one thing we always said. If people are united against housing and they will support this amendment, people united will never be defeated.
Well, please come forward, state your name for the record.
Aloha, my name is Liz Rago Kaiuli, and I'm testifying in support of Bill 1 as it stands. So along the Ko'olauloa area, all the schools are Title I schools. So that indicates that many of the families in our community wouldn't be able to afford even the affordable housing part of the plan. Also, if the affordable part of the plan isn't workforce, but I think it is workforce. So say if it is workforce, you have to be working for a couple of entities. So it really isn't open to the rest of the community, yet the rest of the community will be burdened by taxes and traffic and infrastructure issues. And so the rest of the Kamehameha Highway. So that's the other issue as well. The third issue that was brought up is that we don't have, again, the infrastructure for emergency management for that many people and that many new residents. So I don't see in the foreseeable future that this would be a viable plan for anybody, either economically or even in terms of infrastructure. That's the first half. The second half is I want to encourage the council to continue to keep the affordable housing in the urban growth. I'm happy to pay taxes to those that are able to stay, to able to have affordable housing within the urban area. That's all.
Aloha. Kako, my name is Ben Shaker from the Ahupua of Kahana. I want to thank the council members, especially Kaika Anderson, and my council member, Ernie Martin, and those in attendance to bring the hearing out to the people. Mahalo, mahalo, mahalo. I also want to thank Eric Bieber, HRI, and their team for their hospitality and showing us the area in question in Malai Kahana. I want to mahalo them for their hospitality. Affordable housing must be directly linked to living and livable wages. Okay? In Ko'olauloa must be 100% livable wages, not federal standards, but livable wages to those working at PCC, BYU, and the general community. If you cannot buy one house on that wage, that's not affordable housing. Right? Number one. Number two, we need to get rid of illegal Airbnbs, which the gal so expertly brought up, that that's one of the issues that we have. And number three, I was just looking at YouTube about 2 hours ago, about 3 hours ago, and there was a group that were building homes, 6 hours for $37,000. 6 hours to build a home. There are so many different ways to do it now, so that it becomes affordable. And we're not doing that. We're doing it the old American corporate way, which is wrong for what we need today. What you call it? I want to thank you guys again, and mahalo.
Well, my name is Jeff Tiao, and I'm here, I guess, speaking in opposition to the current bill because it doesn't include any additional housing. And I want to agree with some things that were said earlier, and that is that, across Oahu, there is a housing crisis. And it's the same thing in Laie, there's a housing crisis. And I think that there always needs to be some balance. I'm not for building a limited number of homes. On the other hand, people are important, and I think there should be some additional homes. So in the same way that Oahu has rezoned land and had some additional homes, I think that there should be some additional homes being allowed for in this plan. And particularly, I think in Laie. The last time that there was some land that was rezoned in Laie was in 1950, and that was like 70 years ago. I think, should it be that there's never any additional homes for people? I mean, there has to be a balance. They're all important. And so I think some additional homes is good for all of us. It helps to free up homes, so maybe not everybody can get into a particular home, but somebody might be in a home and they move up to a new home and they'll make room for somebody else. And so, but if there's no new supply of homes, then there's not going to be any new homes for people. And eventually, we're going to continue to have the worst housing crisis. So I support some more homes in Laie. Thank you.
Wow. Wow.
Hello, my name is John Urego. First thing is, so there's no deception here, I do not live on the North Shore. I'm a farmer, a fisherman, and I sustain a living. Now, I'm for Bill 1, even if I'm not from this side. And the reason is, no one group should control anything. But if you go to newer methods, you will find sustainable living is a lot more affordable than people are trying to make it out to be. That there are so many more ways. The thing that challenges me is, you have Laie, there's Hau'ula Beach. I'm a fisherman. I'm all Hawaiian. I can't go up that beach. Why? Because somebody controls it? And that ain't right. And I'm also known as Captain Keone, the escort vessel for the SEPA. I can only go in that water when your SEPA is in the water. Why? Because my priorities are not community's priorities. And HRI, if you're going to tell me that I'm going to listen to what they say, they still owe me money for 3 years for something they asked me to do. I didn't ask them. So my concern is affordable. Most people know it's a joke. You haven't defined what affordable is. Affordable nowadays is already $400,000, $500,000. People can't afford that. I am blessed to be where I am, but you have ag land, and now a loophole around the ag land is having solar farms. I don't know about you, but try eating a panel. It ain't going to work, and it ain't going to digest very well. Thank you very much.
Aloha. My name is Rosalind Ram. I'm a 30-year resident of Laie. I love Laie. My husband and I raised our 2 children in the Ahopua. I often think of and pray for and help my neighbors. Tonight is no different. I am here to speak for the 20, 30, and 40-somethings that are not here because they are watching their keiki that go to Laie Elementary School performing their annual Christmas program. As I've been thinking about these young parents and their families, I took a moment to visualize my neighborhood and the many multi-generational households that exist within 3 blocks of our home. I counted over 20 of these young families. Some of them have expressed the goal of owning their own home one day. And yes, I suppose the wages are low, but there's more to that than what is being spoken of tonight. With this thought, I turned to a report entitled Measuring Housing Demand in Hawaii, 2015-25 from BBET. The report focus was on housing demand and noted in the conclusion that supply of housing was not in the study. The report says, quote, housing supply is impacted by factors including the supply of land available for development, financing for residential projects, and the permitting process which are outside of the model used in this study. There is land available. Can we work together to make this happen for the residents of Laie? The same study speaks to areas for future research, including, I quote, higher housing costs, lower consumption by the people in middle to lower income groups, and lead to lower tax receipts for the state. I am asking in humility that as part of this amendment to Bill 1, that a supply of housing be, and let us together define affordable to the people of Laie. More especially that the housing supply be more than adequate to sustain the couple hundred affordable homes. We need to all do our homework together and work at what we will work for our 20, 30, 40-something-year-olds, their families, and the future of Laie and Hau'ula. Thank you.
Good evening, council members. Welcome to God's country. The reason why I say that, excuse me, I got to go. All the people with the green shirts on, in the back of it says, keep the country country. And that's what we plan on doing. We want to keep the agricultural land agriculture. But the ones in the blue shirt want to develop. They're always talking about affordable homes. But they don't tell you how much or what is affordable. They don't give you the price. All they say is affordable. I want to know what is affordable. And I'm against what they want to do with the agricultural land. They have a lot of land in the back of the college. They can build whatever they want to build. Affordable or not, they can build. Why pick the agricultural land and want to say it's affordable homes? It's not affordable. I have in my hand a pamphlet, Envision Laie. And in there, it has a picture of Pani Matoga. He came here and testified about building in the perimeter of Laie. No, he also mentioned he's all in favor of the fire station, which they want to build in Hau'ula. I'll read what he says. A new medical center and a fire station closer to Laie. We have one right now. We don't need to relocate and build a new one. At one price was for 30 million. From what I hear now, it's 18 million. Why don't they build a fire station in Laie? It's not going to bring them revenue. So we want it. Build it in Hau'ula. We had 1,400 signatures, which I stood in the rain and in the sun with other people to get that 1,400 signatures. It seems like it falls on deaf ears. You folks are sitting here. Your constituents put you in the chair. I voted for Ernie Martin. You represent us over here. And as I said, we did not want the fire station. But as it is now, I don't know what's happening. Now, the mayor came down here to that site last week. I found out they were down at the site. And from what I heard, he was breaking ground. When you break ground, you have the news media, wherever other places they broke ground. You have the mayor or the governor with shovels in their hand. They're going to break the ground. The mayor came to Hau'ula, wasn't announced, the public wasn't there to see what was going on, but he was there. I found out. I went to that site. After the mayor got to talking to Andrew Pereira, on a mic, Andrew was talking to the mayor. When he got to ask the mayor, could I speak to you? He gave me the courtesy to talk to me. And then I told the mayor, we had 1,400 signatures. We don't want the fire station to be relocated from where it's at now. But nevertheless, we must have fallen on deaf ears because it's still in limbo from all those years till now. It's still a problem. Not for Hau'ula. The people that once...
Please conclude.
Okay, I will. Well, okay, one in the back. I thought it was the last I had a little more time. See someone in the back there. So but what I'm trying to get across to is the people in blue wants everything their way. They got the hotel. What more do they want? What more do they want? They come to the mic, affordable, affordable. They don't tell you the price. Are they afraid to give the price so that we know it's not affordable?
Mahalo.
Is that what we're trying to do? Thank you very much.
Mahalo. Oh, good evening.
Aloha. Thank you, Chair and City Council. PC Connors for the record. Thank you. Of course, I support the bill unamended. And I want to make 2 points. First of all, as one of our, Rebecca said, we have over 1,000 illegal vacation rentals here. Melakahana on the coast, almost all of those are. Laie Point, about half of them. Across from BCC. All up from Kaneohe, all the way to the North Shore, Turtle Bay. Home after home after home is mini motel after mini motel after mini motel. And secondly, I'll speak to you as an economist. When people can't afford housing, it's always in the developer's interest to say that the housing is too expensive. It is always in the community's interest to say your salaries are too low. Please, please look at the salary structure here in Laie and all over our Oahu. Our salaries are too low. Our economy is based on a 1960s economy. Usually in the mainland, when a college where their faculty and staff can't afford rent, they would form a union and get higher wages. We have tremendous gifts and talents here. We have world-class dancers, singers, musicians, performers. They are making minimum wage or just above. We have asked for them, like we come up with proposals. We say, partner with the film and TV industry, partner with digital media, digital music. You are world-class talent. The top performer, male performer in the United States is Polynesian Chime. So, come on. I have students, 21-year-old, in the film union making almost $100,000 getting audited. Please, there are higher income jobs here. We would like PCC, Laie, to think of modernizing instead of doing more and more low-income jobs. And we'd like Oahu to look at your job structure and think of modernizing. These would be better. As an economist, I will tell you, and Connie and your crew, it would be better for the economy if some of your construction workers turned into movie stars. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I hope that you develop higher income jobs and you get paid what you deserve. Your food is world class, everything. And then you can afford the homes that you should have. We've asked HRI, I have met with many of you, and you probably would say harassed, if we could have a music studio here, a film studio, they would be millionaires. There's such tremendous talent here. And we haven't done that yet. So thank you, aloha.
Hello, Chair Anderson, Council Member. My name is Joshua Noma. I'm from Kalihi, but border is in Kalihi, but I live here in Hau'ula, Namoko Ko'olaulua. This is my daughter, my eldest, Ilihia Noma. She goes to school here, and I brought her here tonight. And she's going to be at every meeting from now on, because she turned 7, to be engaged in our civic process and what that looks like, and being engaged. I want to say the last time we spoke before this was very explosive. First of all, I support Bill 1 without any amendments. I do not support extending the urban growth boundary. There are green shirts and there are blue shirts, but we all love Ko'olaulua. Yeah, we all love Ko'olaulua. But the direction that is being motivated by for-profit entities, private billion-dollar corporations, are a lot more, and they're influencing a lot greater than our grassroots community. Yeah, but the one thing that the money doesn't have is the people. And so we continue to organize, we continue to work with our community members, and we'll encourage and we'll listen to some of our friends with the blue shirts. But the reality is we won't give up, because we know what kind of community we want to live in, and that doesn't include the massive urbanization development, but it does include community development. It includes agricultural development, it includes educational development, it includes all those things. And I know that we want to see those things for Ko'olaulua, but that won't happen if we continue to look at the land as a resource to profit, as we continue to look at trying to create a narrative that pits us who want to protect our natural resources that are against affordable housing, which we are not. Last thing, I want to close by saying that I'm a father of 4. Hawaii Appleseed came out, and Nancy Margaret pointed to saying that right now, in order to afford a 2-bedroom home in Hawaii, the family needs to make at least $32 an hour. But here in Ko'olauloa, our median income is $53,000. We won't even be able to afford the 300 units that they want to build. So why should we even be able to why would we support it? We won't, because we can't afford it. So support Bill 1. Mahalo, guys.
Aloha, good evening.
Hello, council members. My name is JJ Janadasa, and I was a former employee of Hawaii for 10 years. Worked with the communications department and the information systems department. I just want to correct a few things. They wanted to go for 5,000. I can send you a memo, like a record. So it wasn't a 3,200 cap before, so there was a talk of 5,000. My biggest issue is this affordable housing. You can't own it, right? I'm an advocate for the community. We can't own it. And one of the biggest things is, even if you create all of these affordable homes, where are the jobs? Our local community are not getting the jobs. Mr. China here, I have publicly outed him for bringing his friends and putting them in position, giving them high-paying jobs. Where's the community? Right now, there are jobs that our community members are not getting because, the administration is bringing people from outside. So this whole affordable talk, and BYU coming up here, the Director of Communications and the President coming out here saying that we're helping, and well, it's all nonsense. So I support Bill 1.
My name is Joe Wilson. I'm a resident of the Waialae, or what some people call Bellsy Land, which is right down the road. I have a few quick things I want to say tonight, but the first thing I want to ask is, the representative of HRI, when he made his presentation, said that he is simply represented as the management company for some entity that is behind these plans. And I'd just like it on the record. What is the specific name of the entity that is proposing these plans, since you're simply the manager?
We're not able to
Do you
question
know
HRI.
Does anyone know how do we
can offer your testimony and we can get back to you, but we're not taking any questions.
Okay, so number one, I think that's extremely important, right? Because we're all talking about plans that affect this specific region, yet we apparently don't know who is actually behind these plans, since it's only the managers team tonight. Secondly, I stand in full support of Bill 1 as it stands, and I want to just echo the sentiments that have been mentioned so far, the arguments that have been made in support of the bill as it stands without amendments. But I mostly want to focus tonight on the process. As a member of this community for just 10 years now, I have been witness to what I experience as significant disrespect towards the community in terms of how this process has played out. Someone actually spoke about all the way back in 1992, these plans were put in motion and decisions could have been made. For me, it began in 2010 when the Sustainable Communities Plan had apparently established that Envision Laie would be excluded, yet the process behind the scenes somehow allowed some kind of manipulation to put it back in. There was great community outcry. Here we are again tonight. I was at the February 9th committee meeting where I was actually told by one of the committee members that there was going to be a vote that day to determine Bill 1 and move it to the full council. Yet, as was stated earlier, something occurred at that specific meeting that created confusion and gave HRI a little more time to go back to the drawing table, yet these plans were in the works for now several months, but tonight is the night that the community is learning about this. It's deeply disrespectful, it's frustrating. I guess I would like to ask the committee that you please vote on the bill as it stands tonight. Anything else that needs to happen can be handled going forward. Thank you very much for hearing my comments.
Thank you.
Aloha, Council. Thank you for coming out here to Laie. I wanted to start off my testimony by just saying thank you to you and to Mayor Colorado for the roads, for all the paving that's been going on in our community.
community, and I just appreciate those funds that come from our taxes going back into our community, including infrastructure. So I'd like to say thank you, first of all, for the road improvements, just as a community. I've lived here for about 20 years. I also wanted to point out that I'm using, I guess, this mic to voice my opinion about other matters as well. The problems with Cheryl Beach and the traffic there, I'd like to see some kind of solution proposed by our government to alleviate the traffic there as the people stop to look at the trails. It just makes driving on the North Shore very, very difficult. I also wanted to say that I am in favor of additional housing being put into a plan in the community. If you have 5 homes, and if your government says that those are the only homes that you can have in the area, and you already have 8 families living in these homes, it seems to me it's unfair to the people that are living there if they don't have a place to put their family and children as they continue to raise their kids. And I think all of you that are married and have children understand that we've got to have a place to put additional homes. If you've only got 5 homes and there's 8 families, where are those families going to ever go? So I'm in favor of adding housing, designating some housing somewhere, so that the people that live in this area have a place to have homes. Thank you.
Mahalo.
Chairman Anderson and distinguished members of the committee, I oppose Bill 1 and support. For the record. My name is Meli Lesuma from Laie. I oppose Bill 1 and I support the amendment and also the suggestion for the 300 homes. I am actually a proxy here tonight. Some years back, I decided I was not going to be able to afford a home over here in Laie and in Hau'ula. So, but what I wanted to do is to speak on behalf of those who are from Laie and Hau'ula and who had to leave because of the outrageous cost of housing. I want you to know that it's heartbreaking to see these people leave because they couldn't afford homes over here. And so I would like to appeal to you to search your conscience. Many of the people that have spoken here tonight are not from Laie. I don't even think that many of them are from here, from Honolulu. But I want you to know that there are real people out there struggling and suffering. They are victims of circumstances. And I hope that you can put the bill back on your agenda, on your plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to testify after the gentleman behind this lady? If not, I will close public testimony as soon as he comes up. Please proceed.
Aloha, Chair Anderson. Aloha, Representative Ernie and members of the board. My name is Verma Moore. I am the current chair of the Hau'ula Neighborhood Board, and I have been the chair for the past 6.5 years. Back in 2011, we took a vote on this. I like to stand in opposition to Bill number 1, but I'm not a big fan of the amendment either, although I support that. The reason I don't support that is this bill originally started with 1,200 homes. Back in 2011 and going down, we ended up with 875 homes. Now, today in 2017, we're down to 300 homes. I don't know what affordability is, but we do know that we need a few more homes to make that affordable. Everybody here is worried about our salaries. Don't worry about our salaries. We'll take care of it. If we want a way to make own a home, we're going to find a way. But what I'm disappointed as people is, we need a little bit more homes in order to bring the prices more down. What we have proposed here we'll work with. So I'm asking the board here to go ahead and approve the amendment, and thank you, Ernie, for putting that in, and to work with us. I am 8th generation here, my grandchildren 10th. My mother goes as far back and she's still alive. Okay, and I want to correct the gentleman who said he's disappointed with the process. This process is not 10 years old. I was 30 years old when they started doing this. My mother was the chair of the Hau'ula Neighborhood Board. I'm 61 today and we're no closer to getting these homes. than we were 30 years ago. Please, I ask you to support that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mahalo. Aloha.
Hi, my name is Richard Vieira. I'm a resident of Laie, and I oppose the bill in its current form. I'm interested in the amendment, but for some different reasons. I think both sides have great ideas, and they're all valid. But to me, if you zero out any housing in this community, I assume you would zero out housing in other Woodward communities as well for the same reason. Doing that puts everybody on the West Coast. If you live here, or if you work here, and you live there, more people on the road. Eventually, with everybody on one side of the island, this is not going to work. So, I think zeroing everything out in this amendment is probably not a good idea. I don't know what the number is, but you're all smart folks, and so if you have space for something, I think that's better than zero. Thank you.
Mahalo. Hello.
Hi, my name is John Yamada. Thank you for bringing this bill forward. I support Bill 1. Keep the country country. Longtime resident of Hau'ula. I fish. You know, this is where I spent a lot of years. Raised 2 kids. Graduated from Kahuku, and they feel the same way. Thank you.
Mahalo.
Aloha.
Hello.
My name is Dave Biden. I live in Honolulu, and I oppose the bill in its current form. I'm an ecologist, I'm a biologist. I spent a lot of time studying native ecosystems up in the forest, out on the reef. This is a hard issue for me. I love open space. I love ecosystems, and I love all the good that comes from those. But as I thought about this issue, I wrote down a few thoughts that have kind of helped me in my deciding on the position. And so here's what I have to say. I think our local communities are in some ways a lot like Native Hawaiian forest communities. We have these beautiful and unique forests that are found nowhere else in the world that have sustained life here for a very long time, and yet they're in danger of being lost because species from other ecosystems have come in, they're outcompeting, displacing, and completely overtaking them. They're now only found in the very tops of the mountains. What we see below is not native forest. If that goes unchecked, it will destroy not only the forests, but also the watershed and the coral reefs which we depend on. The solution to this problem, in the forest at least, is to create a protected area, a strategic location that excludes the most aggressive invasive species from coming in. This has been shown to work in the forest communities and they can recover and regenerate with that help. We have it happening right up here with on HRI land. Ancient Hawaiians also have protected areas or places of refuge for people and for other living things that serve a similar purpose. I'm asking you to help create a kind of protected area or place of refuge for members of this community. I don't just speak of Laie. All the communities that have been mentioned are experiencing some of this atrophy that we're concerned about. I'm asking you to help create that refuge for members of this community that will otherwise be financially outcompeted, displaced, and perhaps completely overrun eventually by outside individuals who come not to contribute to the community, but only to buy houses and to rent them out and to profit from it. Thank you.
Mahalo. Hello.
Aloha. My name is Dottie Kelly Paddock. I'm with the Hau'ula Community Association, as well as a nonprofit in Honolulu called Hui o Hau'ula. And we thank you very much for making the long trip out here tonight. It's cold and rainy and wet and dangerous on a little 2-lane highway. We all experience that almost every day. I want to make 2 points about that. My support is for Bill 1 as it is, without any changes. We've been talking about this way too long, for many, many years, and we would like some resolution on it as soon as possible. And I am all in support of voting tonight, if at all possible, to finally close this out. This has been a very divisive issue for our whole community, We love each other. We all want good things for our families and for our communities, but we have differences of opinion. In Hau'ula, we are very concerned about disaster preparedness, and we are working on building resilient Hawaiian communities here. But I'm afraid if we develop every bit of our land, then we're not going to be able to be sustainable, resilient communities. We are teaching our children through Aina-based education, but when those children leave school, there won't be any land to farm on. We need communities that can support the families here. We work very hard with the Department of Emergency Management Services in the state to be sure that we are doing everything to be prepared for natural disasters. But if we keep housing more and more and building every inch of land up, this is a disaster that's waiting to happen. We have half of the tourists in Honolulu coming to the North Shore, and we don't have any shelters here. We heard the speaker before talk about the urgency of disaster preparedness out here. We are lacking sorely for our people. We cannot protect them in disasters, and we have been told by the state and the city that we are on our own for a month. We have no water security, we have no food security right now, and it's going to be worse in the future if we continue this pace of development. Thank you very, very much.
Mahalo.
Hello, my name is Christopher Milstein. I'm a new resident of the community. I've been here about 2 years. I run a small tourism company that supports rural communities across Southeast Asia. I'm a resident of Laie and also a member of the LDS Church. But I support this bill without any amendments. And this is my reason why. I'm from Utah, and I've seen what the church has done in Utah with development projects, and I don't want to see that here. I want to see thank you. I want to see the natural places preserved. I want to see the well-being of the community preserved. And I want to see a true compromise from HRI. I don't think this is a true Christian compromise. So thank you, that's all.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to testify who has not after this gentleman in the blue shirt? If not, I will conclude. Please start to come up. Is there anyone who would like to testify after Ms. James? If not, I'm going to close public testimony as soon as possible. Ms. James will be our final testifier.
Aloha, council members. I'd like to thank you for coming out to the community. I think it's a very good policy you have. I'd also like to recognize the fine work that Councilmember Martin did with us in the North Shore on our community plan. He stuck with the community all the way through. We had some disagreements with DPP, but Councilmember Martin sided with the community and we prevailed. I'd also like to commend Dr. Anderson for the work that he's done in Hau'ula and Honolulu, trying to prevent the commercialization of public parks. And both of them came to our neighborhood board and listened to our community share concerns about the commercialization of public lands. I'd like to share some images with you folks that kind of tie into a lot of the testimony that we heard tonight. This is a view of Kahana looking Hau'ula direction. And I think we all agree that's some of the most beautiful coastline anywhere on the planet. And we're going to have a hard time competing with the young fellow that just testified. His testimony was incredible. This next one, the same image on top. The same image on top, but it also shows a view of what's happening about 3 or 4 miles the Hau'ula direction down the road. And I'm talking about PCC and the recent expansion, the hotel that was built there. I'd like to talk about 3 issues. Kind of some background on the areas we're talking about, the highway, Kamehameha Highway, and human nature. And, you know, it's hard for me to say this, but when we're talking about the entities that we're dealing with, HRI and PCC, BYU, I hate to say it, but I just can't trust these people. I can't get into their heads. Let me get this one here. How can they think that what's happening at PCC is compatible with this incredible ecological treasure that we have? This is a world-class coastline, and they put basically what's an amusement park right smack in the middle of it. Yeah, so I can see from what they've done in the past, what their vision for this area is. And it's just very, very troubling to me. And finally, the highway, to me, is really the key of this whole thing. And I'm just really curious if the decision makers in Salt Lake City are aware of the prognosis for this highway. All along this coastline, this highway is eroding into the ocean as we speak. We went by here the other day, and waves were washing across the highway. And DOT comes out every 6 months or so, puts some more rocks, and before long they're gone. So I would wonder, I wonder if the folks in Salt Lake who make the final decisions on all this know about that highway. I have serious concerns about that. Thank you, folks.
Thank you very much.
Fellow Council Chair Anderson and or Committee Chair Anderson and committee members, I just want to say aloha and thank you for coming out to make the trip out here to hear everyone's input. Regardless of where people stand, I believe that everyone's input is sincere, and we live in a great country where we can express our opinions freely. It was interesting to be here in this room because about 10 years ago, the Hau'ula Sustainable Communities Plan amendment process began in 2007. And one of the very first public meetings was right here in this very room. We were gently reminded by a member of the DPP staff that planning is not a popularity contest. And we chuckled at that. At that time, the majority of the people in the room were in support of growth, as has been at many countless public hearings that we've had, where we've had lots of people in support of growth and housing options. But it isn't a popularity contest. You folks need to make a decision, and I wish you the best in that. I do know that there are a lot of people from our community that could not be here tonight because their children were, and the community was involved in the Christmas tree lighting. That is pretty much the biggest event in Laie all year. So there would have probably been a lot of other folks here in support. Let me just close by saying this morning I rode to work on my bike. I usually do that because I live, work, and I play in Laie. And that is the definition of true sustainability. Hopefully we can find true sustainability where we live, work, and play in the same place, and commute is very short. Thank you again for the opportunity to testify in opposition to Bill 1. Thank you.
Hello, Ms. James, you'll be our final testifier this evening.
Hi, Chin James. This really fundamentally is about public policies. Developers are going to do what they are going to do. I mean, there's no question about it, okay? But this is a public policy issue. And the fundamental question is the city, county of Honolulu going to respect and adhere to the Oahu General Plan? And I've said it over and over again, there are kind of 8 sections. Our side is the road, low growth, where we have watersheds, and we have farmlands, and we have low density, and it's a golden goods for tourists, and then Kapolei is where you have the second city, Honolulu is where you have your hotels and tall buildings and so on and so forth. So this is a public policy issue. Do you all want to just give Honolulu up? If you want to do that, if you don't want to follow the Oahu General Plan, don't waste any more money on consultants. The city is hiring and spending a lot of money. And, may I say that I've been in this process since I have a son who is 2 years old, and he's graduated from Kahuku High School, he's graduated from BYU Provo, he's graduated from UH Law School, and there is still no housing. I really, really feel that the carrot stick of affordable housing is being exploited. I feel bad for those who have waited all these years for HRI to provide them with affordable housing. Can you imagine if they had bought just any home 30 years ago? They could have now today owned a home that is free and clear. I believe as a church member in self-reliance, in provident living, in planning. And so again, it's going to go back to a public policy. Do you want to adhere to the Oahu General Plan? Or do you just want to just have it free for all? Okay, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Members, any questions for any of the testifiers or for the Department of Planning and Affairs? This time, I'll defer to the council member of the district.
Yeah, if the department can come forward and offer any comments, if they have any.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I really haven't, like everybody else, seen any of this before tonight, so I really can't really comment on it. I do want to mention, though, in defense of our position, which is the original draft of the Ko'olelo Sustainable Community Plan Update, that it's not a simple matter of affordable housing or agriculture or sustainability. When we developed our plan, one of the haunting things that I took away from the beginning of the process was, and it was mentioned tonight, the number one affordable concern of this community is affordable housing. So I felt that we needed to answer that with our draft. And working with primarily HRI, we offered something. It was not, unfortunately, and I regret that we weren't able to come together with the community in a singular support for a vision. But we felt that that was the best we could do with a landowner who was willing to provide significant community benefits. So it's not just a matter of can you build housing, but there were a lot of other things in a holistic, comprehensive almost package, including a 50% affordable housing requirement, not 30, not 50, not 10, but 50% of the houses would be affordable in perpetuity. They were also going to be willing to come up with, what we also heard a lot, was a bypass road from connecting Kahuku through Laie, so that there's any traffic congestion. And I went through it this afternoon when there's one construction piece going on in front of Dole in Halimano, which backed up traffic for miles, and you had no alternative. So they were willing to play a significant role in that. There's also the consideration that they do provide a significant amount of local jobs for this area, and it's not just minimum wage jobs. They have a full-fledged faculty and staff supporting them at the BYU campus. They provide job training through the Polynesian Cultural Center. I'm not saying that they are a perfect, I'm not saying that they are a perfect model, but they certainly offer a rural economic development model. And for that reason, it's phenomenal how many people who live in Laie work in Laie. So they are not included in the commute traffic every morning, Monday through Friday. So these are some of the considerations that we developed in return for the additional land development and the growth outside, developing an expanded growth boundary. At that also, in that point in time, BYU specifically told us that if they did not grow, they may have to relocate out of Laie completely. So it's the first time that I've heard today that they have a 3,200 cap, because as we mentioned in our proposed plan, they wanted an expansion to 5,000. So it's interesting to know if they have changed their long-term vision. So again, those were the considerations we took into that are reflected in our plan. Granted, there are things that happened since then that we can always look at again, but I just wanted to explain that our position was not a simple issue of more housing or no housing. It was a variety of considerations.
I just have one question as a follow-up. There was reference to the fact that there are entitlements already existing that would allow HRI to proceed with developing housing on the BYU campus under present conditions. Under Bill 1, as currently drafted, are those entitlements and provisions still in existence?
They have a number of options as to how they want to put housing on it. If they want to have it related to faculty and student housing, in other words, it's an adjunct to the college and university, they can go through that through a plan review use modification with the council. If they wanted to build strictly subdivision type housing, then they'd have to come in for, I think, a boundary amendment and zoning.
So
or they could come in for a 201H.
So nothing in the Bill 1 would prevent them from moving forward on either of those allowances?
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Director.
Director, so you're saying back in 2009, 2010, under the prior administration, when the revision to the plan was first discussed, BYUH had explained to the committee that worked on that plan that they plan to increase their enrollment to 5,000. Is that what you just testified to?
I believe that was public knowledge.
Thank you.
So are you saying then that you're surprised to hear this evening?
Yes.
You did say that you're surprised to hear this evening that there's a cap of 3,200.
Correct.
But is this the first you're hearing of even a cap on enrollment being in existence? Did you know there was a cap at all?
I don't know how official that cap is, and it may be true that they have for planning purposes for campus planning that we plan for a certain number. I don't know that that's a cap in perpetuity. I suppose it was a smaller number in the past, and they may raise it in the future. I don't know how strong that cap is.
So that number of 5,000 was presented. It was presented to the committee, Dr. Thomas.
It's in our draft
Okay.
bill that went to City Council.
So when that cap of 5,000, or the increase of enrollment to 5,000 was presented to the committee at that time, was it presented as a final number or just a desired expansion that could possibly be expanded again?
For our purposes, it's just a planning horizon that they believe was necessary for the long-term viability of their campus. I don't know to what extent it jives with their own internal administrative cap. That was not explained to us, as I recall.
Okay. Thank you very much. Members, any further questions for the Department of Planning and Permitting? Thank you very much, sir. Members, any comments that you'd like to make before moving forward? Councilmember Elefante.
I have questions for the representatives from HRI, Chair.
Please proceed. Councilmember, please call where you deem necessary to answer your questions.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Beaver, can you go over, so the proposed amendment that you're proposing for the committee tonight, can you explain what thresholds would be for in terms of affordable housing for 250 and the 50 units that you're looking at putting?
So, again, under the current law, the units were built today. The law requires that 30% of the units meet the affordability guidelines of the city and I guess the guidelines of HUD, which is 80 to 140% of median income. And there's a number of ways, as I understand, to spread those units between 80 to the 140, but a total of 30% have to be under the 140 AMI threshold.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Members, any further questions for Councilmember Milano?
Mr. Beaver, I thought in your plans or in one of the handouts, it included, I guess, as part of your benefits package, and I want to confirm improvements to the wastewater treatment plant expansion. What were you proposing other? Or how do you propose to address
How would
these
sewer be addressed?
the sewer?
Yeah, so it's the 50 units on BYU, I think, would be handled by the existing sewer system. We've looked at, in general terms of whether or not the existing sewer plant has capacity or could have additional capacity in the future for the 250 units in the northern area. And look at my engineer, but the answer is we believe that it either has capacity or that it could have additional capacity added to the existing sewer plant to handle the flows over there. But that's a detail that ultimately gets looked at as you get closer down through the entitlement process, and closer to zoning. That's one of those more specific kinds of details that we look at.
Okay, thank you very much.
Members, any further questions for HRI? Mr. Beaver, have you had an opportunity to review the communication from Council Chair Martin that we proposed this evening?
I have briefly, it's very brief on it. I'm not sure it's clear to me as to what exactly is being proposed there, but just that the idea would be that the area would be the Laie Kahana, portion of the Laie Kahana Ahupua'a. I'm not sure if all of the Ahupua'a is being proposed for some kind of designation for preservation, but it wasn't clear to me what that meant. Are we talking about preservation as just a designation in the Sustainable Communities Plan, or a reclassification at the state land use level, or I'm not sure what that is.
What is your understanding of
The
communication as he's proposing?
As I mentioned, it's not clear to me exactly what it is. I'm not sure if you're asking Councilmember Martin to amend the Sustainable Communities Plan in a way that adds a preservation designation or land use or zoning.
I'll ask the Chair Emeritus to address that in his final comments. But upon HRI being made clear as to exactly what he's proposing, I would be interested as chair of the committee to get your thoughts on that amendment.
Sure.
Members, any further comments? Thank you very much. Okay, members, we are in discussion. Members, any discussion prior to my making a recommendation? Councilmember Martin.
Thank you, Chair. I think, and I appreciate you hosting this hearing out in the community. I think for all of us, it was a good opportunity to get a direct presentation for HRI. I think the majority of the testimony was reflective of what we had discussed previously, that there hasn't been really that amount of time or ample opportunity for any of us to digest what is being offered at this particular point. I think even for the department, with their own testimony coming forward, that they were quite surprised with some of the information offered here today. So I think it'd be very difficult to move forward with any amendments at this particular point in time. I wanted to first also thank you for coming to my defense, which was totally unnecessary in this particular instance, because I think in this instance and in past instances, I think all of us have been accused of having ulterior motives on issues that we contemplate. And it's part of the profession that we're in, and we've accepted that responsibility, and with that responsibility, we need to bear any level of criticism. But in that particular instance, I think Larry McElhaney actually came forward and probably of all the people attending today are very familiar with my record. I think my record speaks for itself. Started with the North Shore Sustainable Communities Plan, which I amended to reflect the consensus of the community, even though the department gave a very rational and detailed explanation as to their proposed draft. And then continuing on, when the city had proposed to sell some remnant parcels for the development of a hotel in Haleiwa, it was our office that took that off the table, because that wasn't something that was fully supported by the community at that time. Most recently, we had a special hearing in Haleiwa, another project that proposed to rezone ag lands for a residential development. The chair of that committee did give me an opportunity to voice my opinion, and I recommended that we not move forward. And as this body has always done, it's been always reflective of and has deferred to the council member of the district. In that particular instance, that particular project was tabled. Now, with respect to the amendment I proposed, it's consistent with what the position that our office has taken time and time again, starting with Sunset Ranch. Larry, for me, that is right up the street from you. That was a very significant parcel that had the potential of being redeveloped for housing. It was our house, our office, and with the council support that provided the funding to have a conservation easement granted over that particular parcel of property. It would prevent housing from ever being developed in that particular instance. Turtle Bay is another example of a significant property that was slated for residential development. It was the city council, not the governor's office, not the state legislature that led the effort and put the initial funding that allowed for a conservation easement to be granted over a significant portion of that property. Hau'ula Golf Course most recently. The city led the effort. Our office petitioned for funding to repurchase the Hau'ula Golf Course, which also had the potential of being redeveloped for residential. And we were very successful with the council support and with the mayor's blessing to reacquire that parcel so that we can assure that that will always be retained for its purposes as it stands. In this particular instance, it's the same thing. I would prefer a conservation easement. Staff advises that only the landowner can agree to a conservation easement. That's why we went the alternative route of having that land rezone preservation. But actually, a conservation easement would be the appropriate vehicle, and if HRI would be willing to enter into negotiations to ensure that Maalae Kahana itself would never be in a position to be developed for anything other than what its current purposes are.
Not
But to be
conservation.
fair to them, I haven't discussed that with them as well, as you had mentioned. I even haven't discussed it with you.
We gotta go see him.
So, I mean, that's pretty much what my amendment proposed. It's really, I would prefer a conservation easement because it wouldn't cost the city any money. We would need a willing landowner to agree to that. We're hoping that HRI would be a willing landowner in this particular instance. So hopefully that would address Representative Quinlan's confusion over that particular amendment. But in hindsight, for me, I'm a little disappointed, I think, in terms of the scaled down development, in the sense that now we're going from what the director had said, a 50% commitment to only 30%. I think the economic realities offered by a number of the testifiers as to what is affordable for this particular area is telling. And I think the more affordable units that we can squeeze out of any particular project, irrespective of where it's located, is in our best interest. So thank you, Chairman, again for coming out today. For the members, because I know you are novices to the area, drive home safely. For me and Mike, no big deal. We've been out here hundreds of times. We can drive blindfolded going home. But, thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, everybody, please drive home safely. I can add to that, Chair. I drive out this way pretty frequently myself. Beautiful drive. And even with the rainy weather, this is still a very beautiful area. So I'm very pleased to have had the opportunity to come out this evening. Thank you, folks, for your hospitality.
What about the vote? The vote!
At this point in time, Chair Emeritus, I'm interested to hear more from you in regards to your amendment of conservation easement. I am interested in pursuing that particular option. I would like to hear from Hawaii Reserves, Mr. Beaver, as to your folks' position on that. If you're not prepared to offer that at this point, I understand. Again, this is the first that I've heard of it, as I testified to. But I am interested to hear what you folks think about that and what your position would be.
Like the rest of, well, and you and everyone else, that's the first time we're hearing it. We haven't had those discussions, so I guess I would be open to hearing maybe more of what Councilmember Martin is thinking. I'm not really familiar with conservation easements. I am aware of the ones that you talked about. And so I think to your general question as to whether we would even be open to dialogue, the answer is yes. I would be happy to sit down and have that discussion.
So that is something that you're open to.
Mr. Chair?
Council Chair, Emeritus, is it possible that your office would be able to talk short with HRI prior to the end of the year, at least we engage in the discussions? Should we present something folks are willing to do?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, Don Watson. For the record, HRI only owns 663 acres. I'm an heir. We own 282,840 acres. So they cannot be the only ones that you address. You address us, the Kuleana landowners. Mahalo.
Members, any further questions for HRI? I am interested, members, again, in having the discussion between the council chair emeritus, the council member of the district, and HRI continue. I also plan to be an active participant in those discussions. I also ask Mr. Beaver that you keep me apprised. I am interested to know what you folks are willing to do going forward with that particular amendment, and keep that entire area in conservation. And we would, of course, if you're willing to do that, would require written documentation and such, so that we can present that to the community as well as to the council.
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to start those discussions when Councilmember Martin is ready. And Chair Anderson as well.
Thank you very much. Members, I would like to give the council member of the district some time to talk story with HRI. Mr. Beaver, I don't want to indefinitely delay this process, so I want to be clear about that. I do not want to indefinitely delay this process. I would like to have a hearing on this matter before committee and have a decision rendered in February, if at all possible, one way or the other, either going forward with an amendment or going forward with no amendment. But I would like this committee to render a decision one way or the other by February, so that this community can have some resolve. So I am comfortable at this time deferring the issue, not making any amendment. So I appreciate you coming forward to make your presentation and offer your amendment, but I'm not prepared to make a recommendation that we amend the bill at this time to include your amendment. So we'll lay your amendment over. We will keep the bill in its current form that still calls for zero housing. We'll allow you to continue your discussions with the council chair emeritus and myself. And again, it is my intent to hold a hearing in February and to make a decision. That's my desire. So, members, any discussion on that? Councilmember Elefante.
Thank you, Chair. In support of your proposed referral of this measure, I'll note that I'll also be filing disclosure of interest statements as the following testifiers, whether them or who they represent, have contributed to the Friends of Brandon Elefante. I'll be filing this out of an abundance of caution for the City Clerk's office. They are for Pani Maitoga Jr. from the Operating Engineers, Pani Maitoga III from the Operating Engineers, and Mr. Joshua Noga. So I'll be filing that with the City Clerk's office. And again, in support of your deferral, just some quick remarks. I appreciate those that have come before us here tonight to share their thoughts and opinion. I think there's still a long way to go. The concern that I have is in just seeing that we need to continue to protect the country in a way that's manageable and sustainable. I did have an opportunity to hear from some of the testifiers in a meeting that I did have, and hear their concerns, and a lot of them have been long-time residents here, and also would love to hear more, from HRI. But however, as it's being proposed tonight, Mr. Chairman, the communication that you offered, which, and how I would look at it would be similar to the lines of what they're proposing in the 250 homes. I'm just only seeing this as of tonight. I know it was filed with the clerks yesterday. So I think there needs to be more discussion. However, I think it's important that while there is a dire need for more housing in this particular area, I think it's important to note for the fact that how much is more in that sense. And I think it's important to continue to protect this rural area of the country and also give precedence to the council member of the district. So thank you, Chair, for holding a hearing out here, and thank you to everyone for coming out here.
Thank you. Dr. Chairman.
The intent of the committee is to take the proposed amendment under further consideration. I would strongly recommend that we take a much closer look at the affordable housing issue, the affordable housing requirement that is contained under this proposed amendment. And Mr. Beaver has testified that his interpretation of the proposed amendment is that the developer's obligation to provide affordable housing would be under the city's current affordable housing policy, which I don't think is adequate and is strong enough in terms of ensuring that any housing that's built will be truly affordable. Under the city's current affordable housing policy, homes that are priced up to 140% of the area median income is considered to be affordable, which in my mind just is not acceptable given the fact that what we're talking about are homes that would be in excess of $700,000, and that's market price housing, that's not affordable housing. So if we consider the amendment, please, I would recommend that we really take a closer look at the affordable housing issue, and if we move forward with some kind of amendment to strengthen the requirement that would be applicable to the proponent.
Mr. Chair, are you pointing to the specific number of homes that's proposed, or are you pointing to the affordable housing requirement that you'd like to see?
The affordable housing requirement.
Done. And that is something, Dr. Chair, that we definitely will be taking a look at as we go forward. So again, members, the chair's recommendation is that we, Councilmember Maha, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this meeting and this opportunity to really meet and come out and meet the community. And I'm really grateful today to have heard from all of you from both sides. And it's been really quite enlightening. And the one thing I did hear quite consistently was the need for the infrastructure, also a need for housing, right? But I think those two things are not, those two things really go hand in hand. And as somebody who represents the urban core, where we have a lot of these capacity issues, especially with the wastewater treatment plant and our system out there, and we're playing catch up right now, trying to create the capacity that we need to create the new housing that we need to be able to develop the primary urban center of Honolulu. It's really quite difficult. And if you're going to ask me to move the growth boundary, what I would like to know, or to vote on that, what I would like to know is what kind of infrastructure improvements are we going to need? What kind of capacity increases are we going to need to upgrade the EA wastewater treatment plant accordingly to the communities, to be able to also, I think, share that with the community. I think would also be fair in terms of, the community wanting, expressing the need for this type of infrastructure, especially wastewater treatment. So what I would encourage both parties to do in the time that you have now is really not to stop here in terms of dialoguing. What really should happen is really work together to really crystallize that vision and really make it happen. And work together with your council members, your state representatives to really, and your executive, the mayors and the governors to really implement those necessary upgrades that you would need to create any future housing for anybody who would be living here, especially for the future generations. Because really to build nothing really is also not a solution. And we did that in the urban core, and now we're really struggling. And so, that's just just my thoughts, but I just wanted to share that with the community today. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Councilmember Mara. Members, any further discussion? So again, members, community, we will not be amending the bill in any form this evening. It will stay in its current form, allowing for no growth. We will lay that over, and I plan to come back to the community. I plan to come back in February. I would like to have a decision made in February. That is the goal. Council Chair, I look forward to seeing this committee again, and we'll be communicating with you as well as the rest of the members in regards to our February meeting. So members, if there's no further discussion in regards to my recommendation, any reservations, any objections? Hearing none, the bill has remained in its current form, unamended, and will be deferred in committee. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming out this evening. Members, thank you very much for your attendance. Staff, thank you very much for your continued support. You're adjourned.
I'm disappointed. I really am. I thought that Ikaiko Anderson would have done something right to the community, come out over here and make a decision. And then he backpedaled. So did, what's his name? Ernie Martin. And for me, as a kupuna, and someone has been involved with many of the politics throughout this Hau'ula district, they're always backpedaling because it's an election year.
It's not surprising me when they allowed HRI to do their thing. New information would delay the process. They got to analyze it and so forth. So it's just a delay tactic so that nothing can be decided tonight.
Same old, same old.
Yeah, same old, same. But, okay, I remember old school. Okay, Waiho'ole Waikanani, we battled for years and we still battling. So it's like over 40 years and the battle is still on.
Indian tribes.
But I mean, just horrifying that amendment was just thrown in at the last minute. And now they're going to go off and discuss with HRI about it? What about us? We don't get to know about it or discuss or be. I'm just disgusted. And I stayed up late. It's way past my bedtime.
Any comments?
That's pretty expected, you know. I'm disappointed that the community didn't get the opportunity to see this bill supported and passed. You know, I think there's a lot of community support that came out tonight, and that is built off the years of support of community members wanting to keep the country. So we're disappointed by the inaction tonight, but I think that only further solidifies our resolve to keep fighting, to keep the country, and keep the community that we want. So. Yeah.
So, I feel the best. Should I start? Okay. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And I think there's an uneasy feeling because the way it was ended was that there's going to be, you know, private conversations with HRI. They're coming up with something. We're not involved. We're not included. They know that we had the community, what the community, major community wants. So I got an uneasy feeling, and I just hope that people oppono and do the right thing when the time comes. Thank you.
I think we were robbed. And they should have just passed Bill 1. Deal with the amendment that comes in too late like that some other time. It's not right to us. It does disrespect the community for showing up and then being not done. All in the self-interest of HRI. Special group interest. They already delayed it from February to November, the end of November. Now they got till in February. Have had it enough with them. Not, you know, I mean, it'd be nice that things worked out. They put it Laie in Laie. There are 300 houses in Laie where they should have been all since '92. I think there would be a much better solution. That would be, and this Bill 1 just passed now.
Then it was interesting when they tried to introduce like on buffer for Malai Kahana or keeping it in the conservation or whatever, or the ag stuff. I go, wait, they never addressed the part of who owns Malai Kahana, not just them, and Laie. There's other people that have interest in the land, and they're trying to make like HI owns it all. they gotta redo the whole thing because that's the part they're in jam off.
The people from the community showed up and spoke their truth about how they feel about the development in our area to keep it country. Also that HRI, who's trying so hard to develop, they were given a notification that all is not well in the whole Hau'ula district. And so they must be good neighbors, especially the people within their own community, be good neighbors and do the right thing to the Kuleana landowners. And also they just got to tell the truth. They do not own all of Malaikahana, only 663 acres, and we own the rest. Thank you. Mahalo.